and I can't see it yet, so I'm hoping we're live. We will try something new today and see if we can get on Facebook as well. No, we're just on YouTube. So whenever we're live on YouTube, we just have to get the stream over there. So thank you very much for being back, the Lokenbergs. Woohoo!
Woo!
And let me pause myself so I don't double hear myself.
Yeah. Where can I see it on YouTube?
Amazing Hiring's website.
Yeah, it's right there. It's okay.
You see it? You see it? So if you go to Amazing Hiring, let me actually, there we go. Let's let the people know that we are live. Anyway, if anybody comes in alive, welcome back to the Amazing Hiring Sourcing Training Live Q&A, the second edition.
Yeah.
We're back again with the Lokenbergs after the training from yesterday night on Twitter and Facebook sourcing and a little bit of dark web, which I think confused people. So we might have to answer a little bit of that. But yeah, let us know if you're actually coming on live. Ask us any questions that you don't feel like we've gotten answered here. If you're watching the replay, come into the training next time, watch the replay of the trainings. And yeah, if you have questions, we'll be live again with Q&As following Joanne's training tomorrow, but on Monday, and then again Wednesday next week.
Yeah.
Perfect. So I just like every time you, Kim and Gordon, have gotten a lot of feedback, but also a lot of questions from yesterday's training. Is there any kind of questions that has been repeating that came again and again? Was there any kind of major thing that people took away or that they were questioning after yesterday?
Yeah, there were. Well, there's quite a few. And it comes up every single training. How can we find contact details?
Yeah.
We do want to stress out that everybody with sourcing, you need to rethink every single time. And that's why we're so specific on dissecting a web page.
Yeah.
Yeah, then you can see that, yeah, and especially on Facebook, we know that there was some trouble about it. So on Twitter, it's the same thing. But with developers, of course, when you connect with them, most of the developers have a private web page.
Yep.
There you can find contact details. So that's a really good way to do it.
Yeah, usually they have their blogs mentioned there, or well, what Kim says, their websites where they present themselves, and that's also where they leave their contact details. Like, hey, or it's a contact form, or it's their actual email, or they have their resume uploaded in their website, which you can then download, and then the email is there, or the phone number, or whatever. That's how it works.
And definitely, I mean, we shouldn't forget to mention as well, if you are lucky enough to actually be an Amazing Hiring customer, it does make things a lot easier
because
for most times.
Yeah, most of the time they'll give you the email directly on the platform. True.
Well, I think what is really good on the platform is that you can immediately see after your search how many profiles are with contact details and how many profiles are without.
Yeah, exactly.
And what I tested was that the profiles without contact details, then you can use your email aggregators. But not always, and it's not a quick fix. We were discussing this yesterday, last night with Balash as well. Sourcing is not a quick fix. It's hard work. And also not everybody has put their contact details somewhere. Yeah, then just send them a connection request, or if you prefer an email, which that's.
Well, if you'd like the quick fix, then you go to Amazing Hiring, for example.
No, absolutely. Or you go to your company's LinkedIn recruiter account, you search for all the people who opened up for opportunities, and you send them 200 emails, and that's the quick fix that most people do.
Yeah.
When you're like us and you find out that
I get a lot of those requests from, hey, I have a great job for you as a developer.
Yeah, because you have Java on your profile.
Yeah, exactly. Makes good money, but no.
Yes, and that's one of the things I wanted to say. If you want to automate stuff, which you will be talking about, yeah, be careful what you automate on, for instance, LinkedIn, because of the weird algorithm, you might be reaching out to someone who's not doing that job at all.
I will be talking about that as well. I mean, yeah. I think that goes through all the training that we're doing with this Amazing Hiring training. We're not talking a lot about tools, and there's a very good reason for that. One of the reasons is that it's not just that the basics, you need to get that right, but it's also, if you don't understand the process behind what you're doing on the different sites, then you don't understand the
which
tool.
tool.
Amazing Hiring it's a brilliant tool because they've indexed 60 different social networks. But if you don't know how to go out on each of those 60 networks, you don't know what quality is that you're actually getting. Yes, you can go on Dribble, you can go on Behance, but if you don't kind of know what kind of people are on there and how would I find them?
You forgot to mention Coraflot in that series.
And that's the thing. And it's like LinkedIn is exactly that. And I'm going to mention as well in my training on automation, I use a lot of automation, but I still use a lot of things which I could automate. I do it manually because some of the pools of people that I'm contacting, I can't afford the mistakes that automation would normally make.
Well,
If
and
my pool is 10 people, I can't afford any mistakes. If it's 100, I still have a very small margin of error. And a lot of the automations, like out of 100, you get a couple wrong, it's going to waste my time. And I'm going to spend more time kind of like getting out of that than I would just have done more of it manually.
Yeah, but also, especially because we're doing a tech sourcing course, be aware that you're not the only recruiter reaching out to these people. So if you're sending an email about a Java role to a JavaScript developer, you look like an idiot, and they will never respond to you any other time again. So you always need to be careful with automation. One of the other questions which was asked, and I thought it was quite funny, and it's actually also a little bit of an introduction for tomorrow.
All the questions were funny yesterday.
No, it wasn't questions. It was about your glasses. It was about Ajax. So we both wear our Ajax shirts.
Yeah.
Yes,
so
we are
that's
Ajax fans. But it was and it's a valid point. It was how do we target female developers?
Yeah.
And two things came to mind, and it was like topic diversity. Well, I rather talk about inclusion instead of diversity. And I don't see a difference between male or female developers. So, and target sounds really harsh to me. I mean, I'm not targeting people, I'm connecting with people. And I think that's also a big difference between sources and recruiters. Recruiters, yeah, they have their KPIs and they do target them. We connect with people, we engage with people. And I think that's one of the biggest differences between sources and
and the line is so thin. It's not.
It's very thin nowadays, but I just wanted to have said that.
Yeah, well, that's good.
But so in that sense, I do not target them differently or reach out to them differently. They're humans.
Yep.
So I send the same outreach to females than to males.
And how do you do that with people who mention they are neutral?
Same way.
I saw my son did an application to the supermarket last week. His first job. Yeah, finally.
Stop paying rent.
He could
Yeah.
he could be male, female, or neutral.
Yeah.
I was like, that's interesting. So if I fill out neutral, then they don't know anything.
No, again, and even the neutral, I don't, you got the non-binary, which is the kind of general term. There is about 50.
Neutral for me is quite negative, but
yeah, for me, that gives a negative, it's
or
more,
like,
you
I
haven't
don't know.
made, you haven't made, it's like you haven't made up your mind. It's like, that's not the case. It's somebody who very much have made up their mind. They just made up their mind that they want to be identified as non-binary. So it's going to be they and C instead of him and her.
yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot of discussion going on because people have a little bit more time on their hands on Facebook as well and on LinkedIn about biasness and diversity and inclusion. Of course, we live in the Netherlands, which is known, I'm not necessarily saying we are, but we are quite an open country. And if I talk to the boys, yeah, they do have people in school who are transgender.
Yeah.
And they're at a quite young age because we can speak our minds and we are quite open about it. So I thought it was actually a good effort from it's the biggest supermarket chain in the Netherlands. Only then they choose the word wrong, which makes it, you know what I mean? You know where I want to get, but
well, at least I didn't do like male, female, or other, because that's the same.
That's even worse.
It's like other what? Like, yeah, it's. I think you'll never get it quite right, because even if they did male, female, non-binary, you will still have people that fell out of that. Like the list is long for it to really be inclusive, but yeah, it's definitely, it's a step in the right direction. My question is always like, does it have to be either or? Like, do you have to put that on the application? Like, do we? I mean,
Yeah, maybe we should
I've
leave
seen
it
some of
out
the
even.
application forms where it's like, my wife just had, like, she had to sign up for something in the professional business sense,
Yeah.
and just to get signed up for that was a lot of questions, and she said, like, did you do this? And I'm like, no, they set me up, and so we gave the developer feedback. It's like, look, this way is like, what would you cut? It's like everything. It's like, you don't need all of it. You need my name, my email, like everything else you shouldn't really need, because it's already, there.
Yeah.
Like, why do you need all that information? It doesn't make sense.
I like that in a sense when we started doing the whole recruitment via mobile, people wanted to upload resumes and everything, and I was like, why? You only need his phone number so you can call him back. You already know he's interested in a job because therefore he applied, and the rest that you'll find out while calling the people.
Yeah, we had this discussion on.
That's years ago, by the way.
No, we had the same discussion in the fall at the what's that event called? Recruitment Tech.
Yeah,
Recruitment Tech, and Patrick Boonstra was speaking there, and he was doing exactly also about one of the supermarkets. You had to go through like 8 pages to apply. You're 15. What are you gonna do at the supermarket? Why would he need a resume?
Well, you need a background check, and it's like,
so name and gender, it doesn't even matter. It shouldn't matter.
No.
So why put it even in there?
Right.
And a phone number or email.
Can you lift 10 kilos? Check, because it's job relevant. Other than that, who cares?
I'm wondering, because I know people are researching this, I'm wondering about the numbers, because I think a lot of these youngsters were like, hey, bye. It needs to be easy. It needs to be quick and bum. I'm in there.
I had it 2 weeks ago. There's a lot of events going on at the moment, not live, but online. And one of them was like normally something you would have to pay a lot of money for. And I was like, I wasn't going to go, but it was free. So I was like, why not? So, they were like, oh, tickets are free, just sign up. And I go sign up. I'm like, okay, email, name, good. Address. And I'm like, no, what do you need? You're not going to send me anything since this is an online event. I know you have a lot of sponsors, but I don't see why they need to have my address, like my physical mail address. It's like, yeah, you could find it if you want to, but I'm like, do I? And it was just, for me, it was like that. And then you were using Eventbrite. So it wasn't even like, I know it's not something Eventbrite is, but I'm like, I just chose not to go to that event, which could have been good for the event and for that. But I'm like, I'm not going to give you and it was a required field. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just choosing not to go here because you're asking for things that I think are unnecessary.
I had the same thing. But I had the same thing because I tried to ... didn't work. It's I was asked to test a platform from one. Well, can I name the name of the company? No. Okay, it's one of the biggest companies in the Netherlands, which is known all around the world, and they made a new platform for freelancers. So I was like, yeah, of course I'll test it, and yeah, of course I want to do a sourcing gig for them. I mean, it's a great company. And they asked me for my bank details, my home address, not my business address, my home address, and I was like, guys, I not even have applied for something. You cannot, even GDPR wise, they're not allowed to ask them. I checked it 3 months ago. They still have it in there. Like, I will never fill out that stuff because it's too dangerous.
And some of them are like, they actually listen to us and they changed it. And some of them is like, well, everybody else does it. It's like, well, just not me.
Yeah, so we had a great question yesterday, and we actually didn't touch on it yesterday because I wanted to save it for today because and you don't know this question. So, would you recommend sourcing on dating apps?
Oh, I saw that and I highlighted it. It goes into that whole kind of bunch. Jan has been doing sourcing on Medium, sourcing on Airbnb.
We did that as well.
The OP crowd in Chicago, Ben and Sarah was doing Airbnb and couch surfing, sourcing there, specifically for developers, because we all know developers are elusive, but a lot of them have too much space and like renting out a room. I gotta remember, I stayed in an Airbnb in Austin, and the guy was elusive about who he actually was. Turns out he was a developer working for a tech company. So I spent the
Well,
whole week like
when you look
sleeping on his second room. So
when you look specifically at Airbnb, you will find out it's a lot of Java developers. It's very specific even on the language. So we had a discussion about it today. And I was like, well, if I would have been on Tinder and someone would reach out to me, hey, I really like you. I have a good job for you. I would be offended, to be
Why?
honest.
They pay you 50 a year or?
Yeah, no, I would.
it's all how you do it. So there's
but so what we do-
there's a channel on YouTube I'm following. They call Yes Theory. It's a group of people in the US. They're in Venice Beach, California, in LA. And they throw these impromptu parties and things like that, like say yes to things instead of no. And the way that they invite people, like, because they're like, we need lots of strangers, and we would like lots of single strangers to come to our party. So they went on all the dating apps, and they're like, look, I'm not here to date you, but we're having this party and things like that. So it's like, yes, it's not the intended use of, what it's actually supposed to be for.
But don't forget, the first time I met you, I said reaching out through Facebook is not done. I changed my mind. I mean, times are changing.
Twitter was originally a dating site.
Yeah. And but on the other hand, sourcing on there is of great value, because when you fill out your
well, I met
profile,
you by LinkedIn, by the way.
Yeah, that's a really good dating site.
That's a dating site.
So on dating sites, you fill out a lot of your personal content, so about your character, and of course your own. Maybe it's overrated, but most of the time you say what you do. So it's a great place to source, and then redirect it to any other platform, even LinkedIn, Facebook, GitHub, and reach out to them there or on their personal email.
And if you really start going deep into the OSINT world and looking at pictures, and people share way too much on those dating sites. Like if you start, showing pictures of you going to the gym, running on the beach and things like that, it's not hard for us to find out where in the world that is. And we probably know where in the world, but actually down to okay, if you go to this gym, this is the area you generally live in or you work in. I remember a couple of years ago at Sourcing, I think it was Guillaume Alexander that did sourcing on Strava, where he was one of the companies that he was sourcing from.
Way before. So there
was way before that.
Way before Strava, we found out Foursquare.
True.
And these are the guys in this area drinking coffee at that bar. Oh, this is the financial district. Oh.
Yeah, and then you put Twitter follow on. Oh, when are they tweeting? Oh, yeah, that's really close where they have their coffee. And then that's okay. This is pure OSINT, so it's probably going a little bit too fast for the people. But hey, we need to have fun as well.
That's why we have the Q&A.
No, but then you close in on it, and then when you look at pictures, especially pictures taken on your mobile, they have metadata with that. You can actually see where in the world it was made. Yeah. I mean, one of our first assignments during the OSINT training was to find out the personal home address of one of the founders of a motor gang. I'm not going to say names because this is on YouTube. Literally, from a picture he posted on Facebook, within 5 minutes, we had his home address. Of course, we had our VPN on.
Yeah.
I preferably want to do that on a virtual machine, to be honest. And for me, that's one of the reasons why I did the OSINT training in the end as well, is it helps me with my sourcing, because you have different glasses on it at that point. So you go a little bit deeper, but it made me even more aware what the internet can do. And but it is.
No, it is. Well, another fun trick I did a couple of years back was I found out that there was a huge Android, DroidCon was the event. So all Android developers who are usually also Java developers. And I was working in the same building, another floor. So I checked out the schedule of the day. They have a coffee break at 11:15. Let me go downstairs. Let me put a QR code above the ashtray outside. play around with my phone in front of it. They don't know if I'm part of the event. And then other people started doing the same thing. Hey, what's on that QR code? And then they would land on my Java role on our website.
But that's sourcing as well.
Yeah, go there where they are.
It's a great way to I mean, always be open-minded, and it's, well, we cannot say this enough. It's trial and error. And
I think it answers a bit about as well that some of the questions were targeted at yesterday. It's like, why show the dark web piece of it? Like,
yeah, there was the context.
Show
There
like,
was a context.
yeah, there's a context, but also like there's some countries where officially Facebook isn't there. But
Yeah.
what you showed is that doesn't mean that people from those countries are not on Facebook. But
Yeah.
at the same time, there is certain industries where you will not find people with a general footprint.
Yeah.
But it's more likely that you will find them on a another level of the web.
yeah, I will share in the written Q&A. I will share a link, and I think I shared it. No, I didn't
No,
share
you
it in
didn't
the
yesterday.
chat yesterday. It's a website. It's from our trainers. It's International Anti-Crime Academy. They train in the US, Antilles, and the Netherlands. Mostly law enforcement. I don't know why we went through the screening 3 times, but we did. But they actually made a really safe website to explore the dark web.
Mhm.
So I will share that with everyone for the people who are interested to, because I think it's good to know that it's out there, and it's not only to buy drugs or guns.
Yeah.
And that if you Google it, actually, there's a dictionary of the language used on the dark web.
Mhm.
Read it before you go anywhere. No, because it's they have synonyms for group.
It's like
And if you type
it's like the
in the
good old
wrong
IOC
thing-
channels back in the day. Like if you didn't know what to do, or the BBSs and the
Yeah.
news,
Exactly.
if you were completely new to it, you were like, what is this? Like this just make no sense.
But it's the same with scraping. I mean, we have during the past 4 sessions, we had a lot of questions about scrapings.
Yeah.
We don't say data miner is the best. We will make a list of a lot of scrapers out there.
And I think we all have our own favorites.
Yeah, and
Like
that's
you
good.
showed it. Like I have a history with data miner, which is why I don't use it. They blocked me because I overdid it for 1 week.
This is
Early in the history of data miner. So it's just like I just stopped using them because I'm like, well, you blocked me for life, that I couldn't be bothered locking in with another email address. But we all have our own. Like I know David Gelly is an Outwit Hub user and
Yeah, I
likes
use
that.
that also.
Also,
I saw Shelly the other day using, like, he's an Evernote evangelist, so he uses Evernote for scraping as well. So like we all have our own kind of reasons for why we use certain scrapers, but it also comes back to me, it's like scraping isn't the basics of sourcing in my mind.
No.
But we
understand everything else, and then you understand why you need a scraper.
Yeah, but one of the
Yeah.
reasons why we did show it is because we have a very mixed audience. It's from beginners to quite advanced. I mean, we've seen Glenn Goodmacher, Guillaume Lotte, you, Balázs. I mean, it also, when you see those names popping up, like, oh, we need to step up our game. On the other hand, if you look at data miner as an example, it makes people who just started but have been in recruiting, it makes you, you need to look at the website, otherwise you cannot scrape it.
Mhm.
So it's an extra learning tool how to do sourcing, because if you want to scrape the page, you actually need to identify what is being said on the page and where. A really cool example is when we learned how to data mine, use data miner. We had to go onto a porn site. Can you imagine? I was sitting there with 16 law enforcers and Gordon.
I'm sure half of them were women.
I was
right?
one of the three or four women, and openly you were on a freaking porn site.
Yeah, that was a reason why we.
That's why I'm wearing a red T-shirt, so you
the
don't
thing-
see
the
me getting
thing
red.
that
but
we have to explain, because the reason the reason why would you scrape a site like that was to go after new
Human trafficking.
Yeah, human trafficking. So who's new on the site, and how can you do that? By scraping it every day and see what's different on the data, and then find out who's this person.
And also, I do want to stress out with data mining, and it doesn't matter which scraper you use, A lot of the websites will not let you do it
Mhm.
because they think you're stealing their data. It's not their data. There's a big trial at the moment with LinkedIn on this.
Still ongoing. They
It's still
lost it, and
ongoing.
then like when the lockdown happened, the news came out. There was, just came out that because they
Yeah,
had
so
a year to
we always recommend, especially on LinkedIn, because you can get into LinkedIn jail, use a VPN. I mean, I made the mistake to forget using my VPN. I only got locked out for 4 hours, but I'm not even going to mention how much I scraped at that point. Another question which is being asked constantly, is this GDPR proof? Yes, it is.
There's a lot
Because
of
we're not
questions around
scraping
that, yeah.
personal data necessarily.
Right.
And it's the way you handle the data afterwards.
Yeah.
And it
That's
comes,
good.
I had this discussion today as well. And again, comes back to Amazing Hiring and why I use that for a lot of, because we used to use a lot of sites for looking up emails. Some of them, more legit than others. With GDPR, like it hasn't changed anything other than that if I don't know where that email comes from, I could get into trouble. With Amazing Hiring, I don't have to question that because I know it says exactly where it is and relatively easy with one click to go back and do that manually to look it up myself if I had to.
Yeah.
Whereas
Well,
a lot of the other side, like I know a lot of the email reveal tools that is out there is from data dumps. And, I know that because like mine showed up with a Belgium phone number once. And I know I've only had that for 6 months in a specific like area. So things like that, it's like, okay, that's the LinkedIn hack. So that's the data you have from there. So,
Yeah.
you're not going to be able, if somebody asks you where you get it from, you don't know. So yeah, that's
well,
crazy.
I only had the question a few times, where did you get my email? I just build a Boolean and then I find the email anyway.
Well, is it the same with you as well? Like most of the time that I get that question, it's first name.lastname@gmail.com.
Most
Oh
of the
yeah,
time
that was, we've
I'm
discussed
like-
this one. Yeah, it was a very generic, it was quite a hard name. And he said, where the hell did you get my email addresses? And he was like, it was not Jane Doe, but it was Gordon Lokenberg. I mean, there's only one of them. Just try it. And of course, at that point, we still had Sales Navigator, not the LinkedIn Sales
the
Navigator,
light,
but
yeah,
like
the one that you can look
email
at, yeah.
reveal. So yeah, I said, well, maybe you should change your email, sweetie. And I literally did it a bit in a cheeky way, but sometimes that works. On the other hand, I wrote this article today. It was posted by Swordfish itself, by the CEO, Ben. They have in their privacy statement, they have a whole part on GDPR. They explained it before I signed up. I talked to them and I let them explain to me, because we are liable if we break GDPR rules because we are licensed PIs. They are actually being used at the moment by the American intelligence services and the Army, which states, I mean, we were using people, as you know, and I was talking about it at SOSU Amsterdam, and then someone from the Dutch police came over to me. She said, we were just banned by our higher up because they're not GDPR proof at all. They changed their policy late last year, but for me, it was already too late. It's like, okay, I'm done. It's too expensive for what I get. And Will's
They took away the free
very
tier as well.
transparent.
Yeah.
Same as pre-contact tool. They're very transparent where they get the data from. And I combine those two.
And that's what you have to have now. Like I've been in a couple of companies within the last year of having GDPR, the last couple of years. And a lot of the time, I've been banging on about this 2 years before that as well. And you're like, what's your plan for GDPR? And whenever I got this, like, oh, we have the safe harbor blah agreement. I'm like, okay, so you don't have a plan. And you just see that now, like GDPR came in and Ireland asked the European court to look at the safe harbor agreements because they're like, the Americans are not holding their part of the deal. So we want to repeal the whole safe harbor. So I'm like, if that's all you have, there was a lot, like we all remember, like you had people who, the same people coming into recruitment when business is good, a lot of them changed to be GDPR consultants within a couple of months. It's a bit like
and make
back
shitloads of money.
Yeah, back in '99 when everybody
Sorry.
was a developer because the Y2K was going to break us all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that's what it is.
Talking about GDPR, and I think I cannot stress this out. I did a whole session in Tel Aviv about this. I think everybody working in HR, and I mean, we have 4,413 people attending the Amazing Hiring. The GDPR was not developed to make the recruiters or HR lives difficult. That's not what it is about. It's about the big banks, the big insurance companies who are selling our data. They make millions by not only our personal details, but our health backgrounds and that kind of stuff. The more you realize that that's what it is about, you will know it's the same as dissecting a website. You can do a lot within the GDPR because you have to have common interest. If you see someone working for 5 years at a company and you have a great role and you think it's a perfect fit, it's legitimate interest, people. You can reach out. So I think, and I think we need to stop always asking the question, is it GDPR proof?
Yeah.
And embraces it that it's an extra safety button for everyone out there. We're humans first, and then we're recruiters or sources or HR people. And I think that we need to stress that out more.
Absolutely. I want to come back to, like you told me, you talked about it before as well, Kim, about you actually using Facebook for outreach. I know that.
I'm exactly at the same question as you. That's
everybody. I've had this question a lot, and I get, because I use that example a lot. It's like, look, I use Amazing Hiring, even the free version of, to find people's footprint, and a lot of the times that means that I find them on Facebook, see who they're connected to. If they haven't closed down their networks, who they work with, what places they go to and things like that. And no, I'm not looking at pictures of your kids, although for the most part, like we could. But it's just for us to get a picture of, like, what's the approach that I'm taking with this person? Like, what's gonna, if I can see that they've been to Amsterdam a lot in the last couple of years, then it's more likely that they're willing to relocate to a role in Amsterdam, things like that. And that's what I use it for. And yes, I won't connect with people on Facebook because I know everybody has a different version about that, but I will use Messenger. And the reason I use Messenger is, one, it's a standalone app. Two, I can connect with people without being connected with them on Facebook. And three, I get one chance to make an impression. And I generally use a video for that. So I would send them a message on Messenger because I know that they will have to approve that message that we can communicate.
Exactly.
And it gives me, but it won't be the first place I go. I will always try first to find an email. And then if that doesn't work, try somewhere else. Go to Twitter, see whatever DM, direct message functionality there is on the others. Like, I would rather go on Twitter or Instagram, although Instagram is the new Facebook for most people. Like Facebook, they're like, okay, nobody cares, so I'm off. Instagram is only for family and close friends. That's where I post pictures of my children, things like that. But specifically for developers, Twitter is brilliant. If they have DMs that are open, or you end up following each other, that's a good place. Yeah. But I will go to Messenger if that's all I have, because I'm not going to give up just because I couldn't find an email.
And it works. It works. So why not?
It's all depending on the message you send.
Exactly.
But on the other hand, what I find, and I actually experienced it today again, when you're not connected on Facebook and you're sending a message, it goes into your guest inbox.
Yeah, it's the second inbox.
Not a lot of people know how the messenger works in that sense. So I just found a message which was sent to me on February 15th because I'm not looking at it. So your message in more than 80% will be lost.
We had the same on LinkedIn years ago. I would reach out via messages or connect requests on LinkedIn, and then get a response back a year later. Seriously, like, I don't use LinkedIn that much, but is that job still open?
Yeah. No, I have that now. So my wife and I use videos a lot, and I have analytics on the background of those videos. We just finished, in February, we finished an assignment with a company in Barcelona where we send a lot of videos to developers everywhere in Europe. And I can see the coronavirus and lockdown are there because I now get pings from my tool that people are watching those videos and from everywhere in Europe, because they're like, yeah, wasn't looking for a job, but now they are.
Yeah.
No, and I do agree. I mean, yeah, it's depending on the rules, depending. But one thing, when you reach out on Facebook, and I want to stress this out, do not use information you've seen on their Facebook page. Just don't, because that's not doable. That's not on call.
It goes. It's that kind of creep factor. It's like I had it. I worked with. I worked with a group of developers in London, and it's like one morning, like Monday morning, I came in, and one of the senior developers, I'd been on his Facebook page. We weren't connected, and I liked one of his, like, he had a climbing photo that he was in the mountains and climbing, and he's like, "How did you do that?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" It's like, "We're not connected." It's like, well, so I had to show him a bit about, that was when we could still go in the back end and look up their code and things like that. And he's like, and that, that was a very senior level Java backend developer who doesn't understand how Facebook was built and how graph search worked at that point. And even now, I think, I might have changed.
Dutch law, it's even forbidden.
And some of the senior Facebook executives, their Facebook network is open. Like, we had fun with that in a hackathon at some point, where it's like, you take one of the senior guys at Facebook and the CEO of Dropbox, they're both connected, and they both know Snoop Dogg, who's on Facebook on his real name. Yeah. And you look at Snoop Dogg's friends, it's remarkable. All of them are just women who don't wear a lot of clothes. And like, it's that kind of thing. It's like, you should think like a senior executive at Facebook would know to close his network. And the same with CEO.
Why would you close your network?
But on the other hand, Mark, Facebook, and it stopped a little bit now, but I think they started again with their dodgy stuff. I've always closed down my photos for years, as of the start, because I'm very, in that sense,
I just don't post any.
and then, well, that's the new me. Then someone told me, I can see all your photos. Like, no way. They would open up the privacy settings every now and then. This was also proved in the whole Cambridge Analytics. Now, I got a friend request yesterday from William Timcup.
Yeah, well, I think we all did.
I did it as well.
We
all know them. No, but
I got one as well from William. That's why.
Yeah, but I've been friends with him for 4 years.
Oh yeah, I haven't. So
this is what Facebook does as well. If you're over a number of friends, they will delete some of your connections now and then. No, this is seriously true, and I have the proof for it as well. I mean, it happens to me every other month. And then I get the invite. I'm like, we've been connected for 9 years. How is this happening? Seriously, I have a really good question. No, so I want to discuss, because you mentioned.
Don't like Facebook.
I do like Facebook.
So I mean, one of the questions that, and this was very direct, but I like it because of that. In your sourcing strategy, at what time do you tell yourself, let's source on Facebook?
We got
only when I don't find them anywhere else.
No, it's depending on the role.
I mean, if it's a nurse, then I wouldn't start on LinkedIn, although there is a few of them. But
I would go on Facebook or
exactly.
Instagram.
So this is what we did yesterday. I'm looking for helping nurses, so it's the level underneath. I'm partnering up with another company. They did the whole Indeed stuff. We have some other job pages or job boards, but they're really expensive. It's 300 euros for 50 CVs. Sorry, I'm not going to do that.
Most of them are outdated by the time they're actually there.
Exactly, especially in this time. So yeah, then I go to Facebook, because these are the people, especially nurses in this time, they will either talk about it, chat about it, be very visible.
What do you mean? Nurses are all on TikTok doing dances, right?
Yeah, also.
TikTok is the new one. But so 1 second, because I do agree. So I'm not using Facebook as much for sourcing, but everybody wants to know, and I think it's valid to learn about how to do it, because
it goes back to the thing which, like, it happened a couple of months ago, and I didn't even notice. LinkedIn was down for half the day, And I wasn't on Twitter, I wasn't on LinkedIn because we were doing something else and we were working off Amazing Iron, so we didn't have to. And I come back to the office and it's like, everybody's like, oh, what did you like? Oh, you know, Armageddon, LinkedIn was down for a day. I'm like, was it? You know, I didn't know this, but it's like, what do you do if LinkedIn is down? Do you stop work? Which for 90% of the people who were on Twitter about it, that seemed to be the case.
Yeah. No, so yeah, I mean, true. It's fun, and I think it's there will be a time, and it will come sooner than later, that Facebook will step into the job market. We already know they are doing it. We know they're working on it. So it's better to understand how the site is built. And yes, they change it every freaking day, but that's their own mistake.
But it could also just turn into be Google Hire.
Yeah,
Which,
but Google
Google for Jobs, you mean?
No, yeah, well, Google Jobs, but Google Hire. Like I think as long as I've been in recruitment, I've heard that Google is going to start doing sourcing and, you know, have tools and things like that. And they have all the information in the world. Now, not so much, because 90% of the information is not on Google. But you're always like, oh, like every agency is going to be out of a job if Google starts. And it's like, and you come out with these products and everybody thought, like Chat and Cheese included, like, is this going to be the down for, you know, everybody else? And they phase it out like Google does. You know, like the companies who bought in on that, they're like, what are we going to do now? Google Jobs and Google Hire and all of that. And it's Facebook has tried a couple of things. And it's like, do you try to be another LinkedIn, or do you try, like, is there going to be something else? And I think it's more like it's something else that that's going to be the new LinkedIn, but it won't be like a LinkedIn.
Yeah,
no,
agree
exactly,
on that one.
exactly. And we've seen when they first launched Google for Jobs a couple of years ago, they showed us, and this was live on stage. They showed us how it worked together with Johnson & Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just fake. It didn't work.
No, it was nice mock-ups.
It was mock-ups.
Yeah.
Like,
oh,
cool. Dude, and I'm from advertising. I was like, I could see right through it.
But that was the
just
plan.
a really bad mistake.
We did work with Google Hire, which was an ATS, which
Yeah.
should include everything Google has, which didn't. So you couldn't upload PDF files or Google Docs or whatever.
Because PDF.
But they took it off the market already. So, you know, Google is this company that it lives from trial and error.
Yeah, and they do try, which is good.
Which, I mean, Facebook is as well. Like, you know, it's the whole thing. It's like, you know, fail fast and you know, but try things. Like, try it.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, that's fine. But we try.
When I started training people, I was talking about the internet, and like once you start measuring everything you do online, you know if it works. And it's not the effort to put something online. It's not the cost to put something online. You do know when you measure everything that it works or doesn't work. And if it doesn't work, you can delete it from the internet or delete your access there.
Yeah, well, you cannot delete it from the internet.
I think we have a special. I can see we have a special guest.
Do we?
We have a special guest coming.
Yay!
Joanne, how are you?
She's muted.
Woo! She's in. We see you, but I'm sure you don't hear us. How are you?
I'm good. I think I messed the time zone up when you said 6:45. I obviously meant
This is perfect timing.
You know, it's perfect timing. The rest of us is on continental Europe, so we forget that you Brexiters are still on another time zone.
I love
it. Well, it's Pim's o'clock. Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
Perfect. No, it's perfect timing. Look, we wanted to bring you on as well, Joanne, because I know a lot of people have asked a lot about diversity, what it means to sourcing. You have the dubious honor to be the absolute guru on this training with everything around diversity. So I wanted to get a chance to actually introduce you so that the whole community get to know who you are, but also that people can get a little bit of a sense for what you're going to be covering in the training, in your training tomorrow.
Okay, right. Let's give you a quick whistle stop. So I'm not a sourcer. I don't pretend to be a technical sourcer. I'm not a wizard with Boolean.
Or play one on TV.
But what I do is I talk about how we can value people, how we can recognize different sorts of people. And I want to try and get in the mind of recruiters to think beyond the obvious candidate, to look through into the heart and soul of someone and say, no matter what you look like, what you sound like, where you come from, what your CV says, there's a great person inside of you. And all I need to do is find that talent within and explain that to my client. From a client, I want to be able to see different sorts of people. And 6 months ago, I would have said we're living in a world with a talent shortage. I think the opposite is now true. We've now got a talent glut due to COVID. But
I know we have a lot of people looking for jobs. That doesn't mean we have more talent, though.
No. So so inclusion is about allowing everybody to be themselves, to be recognised for who they are, to create this sense of belonging, and to feel that they've been fairly treated and valued as part of the onboarding process, part of the recruitment process. So what I want to do tomorrow night is I want to take people through more of a mindset sort of session where I talk to people about challenging their own bias, think about who they are, think about how other people are in the world, look at some of the challenges people have when they're maybe a minority characteristic that's typical, whether that's BAME, LGBT, age, whatever it may be, to talk about how we can start seeing the person, not our biases. So that's what the session really is about. It's about, I call it conscious inclusion. So how you can be conscious about being inclusive rather than letting yourself be unconscious and exclude people.
Yeah, so Joe, I think, I know how you train people in your sessions, so I think it's going to be great, and it's adding value because it's just necessary. We were discussing it before as well, but we've got so many questions about diversity, and then it went only with male, female. So you will get some questions about that.
Yeah.
I think it's really nice what you're saying. It's about the people on the other side who want to belong. Me as a female, I don't necessarily feel that I need to work harder or do better. I just want to feel belonging to something, or actually worthy, or how do you say that in English?
I think people want to have the confidence that when they engage in a process, they're evaluated for their skills, they're evaluated for what they can bring to the role, and if they meet that role description, they meet those skill requirements, then they stand a fair chance, the same as everybody else, to be selected.
Yeah.
But what they don't want to do is feel they're starting from the back foot, where because they're black, because their English or their Dutch or whatever language isn't as good as somebody else's, because they're LGBT, they're going to get less of an opportunity to succeed in that recruitment process. And then once you do hire somebody, they want to be able to feel that they've got the same opportunity to progress, same opportunity for training, same opportunity for recognition as everybody else, based on their capability and skills, their emotional intelligence, their adaptability, their passion, their drive. Not just about whether they're the same as everybody else.
No, but I think that's what makes the world so nice in certain things as well, that we're all different and we're allowed to be different.
Yeah, I mean, some of us are quite crazy.
Yeah.
But we're allowed to be crazy as well. There's nothing wrong with being a little bit crazy in this world.
I think it's also good that this is part of the tech sourcing course, because tech sourcing is all about connecting dots. It's all about open your mind, become creative, know what's out there, figure out what's not there, and play around with the whole thing. And understanding, of course.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think we all know that sourcing, hiring, people, talent management, all this sort of thing, it's about the human connection. And otherwise, I think, to quote our great friend Bill Borman, if you're not adding a personality to this, you're just a slow computer, you're just slow AI. So you've actually got to bring your personality and actually have that human connection. And that's one of the things I want to bring out tomorrow, is it's really getting to understand yourself, first of all, understand who you are, and then you can see the value in other people as well.
Yeah. No, I think it's really good after the 4. So we had the introduction session by Anna, which was explaining what sourcing is about, which she did really well. And then we had 4 really technical sessions. And I think it's really good that you're doing the next session, talking about the humans behind it and in front of it, which will definitely change their minds on just looking at the tech, because it's not only tech. If I source, and I'm quite technical, I always read between the lines. and feel what the other person is feeling, or try to feel it, or try to that's engagement. And then I think it's very valuable to have you on this course as well. And I
Yeah.
do,
One of the things I'll talk about tomorrow is, do we really proactively talk to different sorts of people? You know, have we got one JD? Have we got one stream of connections? If we have our Boolean pre-written, what about people who don't fit into the Boolean? Yeah.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, are we just looking for women? Actually, not everybody puts the fact they're female on their LinkedIn profile, and not everybody has a female sounding Western name. So again, we can't always tell and judge by people. We maybe have biasing against non-Western names. Again, all of our Booleans may not pick these people up, and yet these people are very valuable. We now live in a world where we can hire, recruit, attract from anywhere in the world. People are just as effective working from the beach in the Bahamas as they are working at a desk in Italy. So I think we can now open our minds to different sorts of people. But if we go with a bias that, oh, what if their English isn't very good? What if their Dutch isn't very good? What if their German's not very good? Well, actually, what if it is really, really good and we just haven't asked them?
Yeah.
Because people will invest time. And I think, you know, we talk about this all the time when we talk about hiring. We base it on past performance. We base it on the CV. We base it on what people have done, not about what people can do, what people they're going to bring to the role. So that allows you to open your mind up to maybe people who are mid-career, they're maybe older generation. They've had huge amounts of lived experience. Yet they're returning mothers, they're returning parents into the workforce. They can pivot, they can use all this lived experience. So again, as a sourcer, as a recruiter, I want to look into this person and say, actually, on paper, it looks like you're a Fortran developer. You know, and you think, well, no one's done Fortran for 30, 40 years. But actually, I can retrain you. I can put you on a fast track course. You can pick up Java. You can be a DevOps developer within a short space of time. So we can train these skills if people got the mindset. So that's why I say you've got to look into the heart of people to understand who they are and what their passion is, and then you can leverage that. And that's what I will talk about. I'm doing half the course tonight, aren't I? So
No, you know,
stuff I'm talking about tonight.
You've only been on for 6 minutes, so that's not. No. You don't get away with that easily.
No, this is the beginning
of
the conversation.
2 hour tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'll be talking to a whole room full of people who source, who look after people and deal with people. So I'm not here to teach anyone to suck eggs. All I really want to do, and that's an English expression if you've ever heard of that, sucking eggs. I want you to be able to look into yourself, understand who you are, and I want you to look into the heart of other people and see the value and worth, and understand about your biases and where you may not be engaging with them, and give them a fair chance. And that's what I ask is, if I can get you to take one pause in your process and step back and go, why do I think that? And then correcting that thinking and giving someone a chance. That's what I want to give you tomorrow.
Great.
Excellent. I think we'll leave it there so that, people can get a little bit out and we can have something for the rest of the hour. Yeah. Thank you very much, Joe, for, actually stopping by, even though, I got the time wrong in a UK time zone. It is tomorrow at 7 o'clock my time, which would be 6 o'clock your time. Yes. And we hope to see everybody there. I know Kim and Gordon are going to be there, even though they're not on stage. Kim can't stay away from the chat anyway, so I'm sure they're going to be there. And we'll see you all tomorrow. We'll be back again on Wednesday with whatever questions have come up. I'm sure there's lots of questions that we won't have time to answer tomorrow, Joe. So if I can get you back and we can answer some of those questions on Wednesday, and just get a bit more into details that we might not have time for tomorrow as well.
Okay. Wednesday or
Monday.
If you haven't mentioned it already, I'm hosting True Inclusion next Tuesday.
Also.
So I'd love you to be there. So there's the banner. Look me up. Register, book in. I've got probably 100 people coming. I mean, Kim and Gordon are going to be there. I've got people from all over the US, demonstrating tech platforms, hiring solutions, L&D software. So I'd love to have you there. I can fit 1,000 people in.
I think it would be really good for all the people who are very specific on the diversity and inclusion part, go to True Inclusion. You will learn so much about yourself, about your bias, but also about sourcing and recruitment. It's a must attend.
And even if you haven't and you're like, I want to know more about this, obviously tomorrow's session with Joe is one thing, but go to True Inclusion as well and see, maybe there's somebody else that you connect a lot more with, where you can say, she really, like, she is in the kind of mind that I am. I'm going to listen more to her and find out, like, everybody has a different way of looking at things and will, you know, focus on other things. So definitely the more events you can go to like this, the better.
And just meet people, share lived experience, talk to different people. That's the way you open your mind, you enrich yourself, is to meet different sorts of people. And that's what True Inclusion is all about.
Absolutely.
So see you tomorrow.
Awesome.
Thank you for organizing it, Joe.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Bye.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.